Welcome back, everybody, to your Cre8tivity. We are on a Skype call, but I just learned we could have done this in person. We are on the line with Kirby Heyborne, probably best known in these parts for his early film career doing a lot of Mormon movies, or Mormon Cinema, I guess it was called at the time. How are you doing today, Kirby?
I'm doing great, Dylan. How are you doing?
Good. So, let's jump into Making Good. It's a series you're doing for BYUtv, and
Yes.
you're about to the second season's about to start on April 1st.
Second season starts April 1st, and it's better than the first season. There's more laughter. There's more things that make me sweat, more things that make me get a little teary.
I've only caught the first few of the first season. Kind of give us a quick summary of what happened in the first season and some of your favorite experiences.
Yeah, sure. So the whole premise of the show is I go out and I find organizations that are making a difference in the world. I join up with them. I get in over my head, and I learn what it takes to really do what they do. And by the end, there's success, there's happiness. I sing a song, and hopefully by the end of every episode, people that are watching are inspired to go out and, if not start their own organization that can help the world in a unique way, but maybe join up with another organization. So all we're trying to do is just change the world. Super simple.
That's awesome. I used to work for a restaurant called Guru's here in Salt Lake. I believe a version of it's still around down in Provo. But part of our job was at least an hour a week we'd have to go volunteer somewhere. And
oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it was an awesome experience. We'd go, after school lunches to kids, and just really cool stuff.
Yeah,
I miss that. I think I need to start volunteering again. So
it's amazing. There's such a wonderful high that you get when you're serving, when you're thinking about other people, and when you're sweating alongside other people. So one thing that I learned in the first season, and now after filming the second season, is when you sweat alongside someone for a good cause, you get closer to that person. And that's not something that I'd really thought about when we were thinking about the show. I just thought, oh, we're going to go and help an organization and help whatever beneficiary. But it's those bonds that you get when you're volunteering with someone that are great as well.
That's awesome. How did the show come about? Was it something that you kind of wanted to do, or was it something that BYUtv came to you?
So I have a friend that I've worked with on a few projects. His name is Greg Kiefer, and he and I had wanted to do a project like this for a while. And so he approached me a couple of years ago with kind of the skeletal idea for the show. And then we brainstormed what we think would make it even bigger and better. And then we took it to BYUtv, and they said, let's do it.
That's awesome. They've got a bunch of great shows on there.
That's what's so great. They've kind of reinvented themselves as a real contender in the television space. And now also they have an app, the BYUtv app, so it's in the streaming space too. The cool thing about the app, and I'm not getting paid to pitch the app, but it's free. So you can watch it for free. It's like a Netflix or a Hulu where you can just watch shows and binge them and see all of the content, but it's free. So you can watch it online or you can watch it on your phone. It's awesome. And I love all the shows that they have now. They're so fun and engaging. I love them.
As part of the podcast, we've been in contact with their people, and we've interviewed the creators of Dwight in Shining Armor, and
wonderful.
They were awesome. And a while back, I interviewed McLean Nielsen from Show Offs. So
wonderful.
BYUtv's brought some great interviews to us, and it's just great getting to know the BYUtv family.
This is a kind of a small world, but I actually went to high school and was in a play with Leanne, who is one of the creators of Dwight in Shining Armor. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, that is crazy.
Yeah, small world. And our paths have now come, well, we haven't met up again yet, but we're at the same network.
There you go. Speaking of, also, I've had Richie T on the podcast, and he wanted me to say
Yeah.
hello to you.
Oh, Richie T, what a beautiful man.
He is, and he's on BYU radio.
Right.
So
So I've been on the Lisa Clark show with Richie T. It's a small world.
it is. It's getting smaller too. So speaking of other connections, Darren Tufts, he was in the Singles Ward
Yes.
early part of your career. Tell us about being in those Mormon Cinema films, your favorite experiences.
So yeah, absolutely. I'm just wondering, how did your brain go to, oh, and Darren Tufts? Have you done something with Darren or what?
Yeah, he was on the podcast. He was like our third or fourth episode.
Awesome. What a guy. Yeah, he's a dear friend. Man, I can't believe I've been so fortunate to work with amazing people. And I was there at the beginning of Mormon Cinema, and some of my closest friends came from that. And the fact that I have a career is because of the Mormon Cinema. How long ago was that? Like 16 years ago.
Give or take, yeah, quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it. And I met Darren, and just close friends. I was at the LDS Film Festival just this past week, and they had some screenings of the old films, Best 2 Years, Singles Ward 1, Singles Ward 2, Saints and Soldiers. And I was there for a couple of them, and there are just some great scenes. There's a scene in Singles Ward 2 where Darren and I are running down the street. And I remember that vividly and just thinking, man, this is my job. I get to be with a friend. We're running down the street kind of dressed up, just making fools of ourselves, but having a great time doing it. And I guess that's been my whole career, doing commercials in Los Angeles. I had a TV series in LA, and it was, hold on one second.
Okay.
And what was I saying? Oh, and it's just been great. I've led a great life, and just making a fool out of myself was the whole point.
Well, your career is going right when work doesn't feel like work anymore.
I know, exactly.
So you mentioned LA and commercials. And I didn't know you did so many. I knew you did some, the Carfax and Target, and
I've done dozens and dozens of national commercials. I've been really fortunate. I was like kind of a blue collar commercial guy for a good 10 years there. Yeah, I did Target, I did Volkswagen, I did stuff with Mr. T and Honda, a lot. It's been awesome.
And the beer commercial. We don't have to go into it too much, but the beer commercial kind of. Do you think it kind of tarnished your clean reputation, or how do you think it affected your career at that point? That the beer commercial.
I don't think it affected me at all.
That's good. All right. I was just curious about that mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And you've worked on other films besides Mormon films. You had a part in Three Stooges, working with like Sean Hayes and Will Sasso. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, the best part was that I'm a huge fan of the Farrelly brothers.
Yeah.
And so that was a Farrelly brothers film. So I actually did a commercial with Pete Farrelly, one of the brothers. I think it was a Miller Lite commercial. And from that, we became really good friends. And then one day, a couple of weeks later, he said, "Hey, Kirby," he called me up. "Hey, Kirby, Pete Farrelly, I'm working on a film and I'd like you to be in it. Are you interested?" And I'm like, "Pete, you're Pete Farrelly." Of course.
You don't have to tell me about it. Farrelly Brothers, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. So then I got to do that. Next thing I know, I'm in Atlanta filming for a couple of months with Will Sasso and Christy Metopoulos and Sean Hayes and Sofia Vergara and Chris Bierko, like awesome, funny, beautiful people. It was so fun. I can't believe I get to do what I do.
That's awesome. Um, who inspires you, like comedically, acting wise? What are some of your influences?
I love Tom Hanks. He's always kind. He's an amazing actor, but I think more than anything, he's kind in his real life, and he tries to do good in his real life. So I love him. As far as comedians go, I love Steve Martin. He's an amazing comedian. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, in your bio, it said comedian. Have you done any stand-up or improv throughout the
Yep.
years?
I've done improv my whole career as an actor, so about 20 years. And in LA, I own my own improv group that we toured around the country. We won a lot of festivals. Yeah, so I've had a very successful improv career.
That's great. Have you been to Wise Guys here in town? Wise Guys Comedy Club?
A long, long time ago. So I don't do stand-up,
Right.
but I do improv, but long time ago.
He's got a new club downtown. Check it out. It's beautiful. It's at the Gateway.
Downtown Salt Lake, or
yeah, in the Gateway Mall, the southeast corner. Big talent in there.
Stand-up?
I don't. I've got too much stage fright, and I don't think I'm funny enough.
I think I do really well. That's the first step in being a stand-up.
Well, I want to sound decent on the mic, so keep it close. But we've had many comedians on the podcast. Many of them are good friends of mine. I think I do better in improv though, because I'm good at, comebacks really good. So
yeah,
maybe someday. Now, when you're creating, what situations are most creative for you? Writing with others, putting on headphones, and just emptying your brain onto paper.
Yeah, I find the initial brainstorms are great in a group. But then when you take that brainstorm and you want to create a script or something, I do that best on my own, quiet. If I have music, it's too distracting. I have an office and a desk in my house that I'll sit down at or sit in my bed. But for me, it works best. The big brainstorm with a group, then take those notes and work on it myself, quiet and alone.
That's good. It's just fine tuning it down. Now back to the show. Where did you film the episodes? The first and second season, was it here in Utah, LA, or around the country?
Yeah, we don't film really in Utah. We did our Christmas episode at the Utah State Prison, but all the rest are all over the country. We've been in North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, New York, New Jersey, Wisconsin, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Let's see, where were we just? We're just in San Diego, and then our last one for season 2, New Orleans. That's where we were. So it's all over. And then we have some coming up for season 3. We'll be in Nebraska, Arizona, anywhere where there's somebody doing good and making a difference, we'll go to them.
Do you see particular areas of the country that are more kind of giving than others?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No, but I have found a common thread with the majority of them. They all have a deep faith in God and a feeling that they need to care for their fellow human beings, and it's really interesting to see that. I think sometimes as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, sometimes we think that we have a monopoly on service, and getting out there and helping people, but that's not the case. These people are just great, God-loving, God-fearing people that are trying to do their best and make the world better.
And back to Gurus, like when I gave, it was nice. I didn't want the activities to end. It was just, it's almost like a hug. while you're doing it.
Sure, yeah.
It's
There's a
probably the best
great
way.
social media guy out there named Colin Karchner who's a big proponent of 8-second hugs. And there's something magical about, I don't think it's about just that, the time of 8 seconds. It's more than just wrapping your arms around somebody and then being done with it. It's being intentional. And I think that's what a lot of people love, is that hug, like you said. And it could be an 8-second hug, literally, or a hug in doing service.
Yeah, I like that. Let's see. That covered the questions I have on paper. Is there anything that you want to share that we haven't touched on?
I think inside all of us is a desire to do good and to see people doing good. And I hope that when people watch the show Making Good, that they see that there's hope, that they can make a difference, and that the world is a beautiful place. And like you said, people are kind of just waiting to feel that hug. And it's a beautiful thing when you participate in service like that.
I like that. Now we have a series of bonus questions we asked our guests at the end of the interview.
Okay.
What the podcast is called Your Cre8tivity. So what does creativity mean to you?
Creativity means not stopping the brainstorm, not censoring yourself. I think that's where a lot of people get caught up, is they start to think of ideas and then they say, oh, that's a dumb idea. And then they cross it off. And then for me, my brain says, well, if you don't like the ideas I'm spitting out, then I'm not going to come up with any more. So for me, creativity is just spitting it all out and then going back and figuring out what works. For every episode on Making Good, I write a song and I write it for the organization that I'm visiting. So I have to do that in 3 days. And writing a song, it's a hard thing to do. But I find that when I look at the blank page, when I'm in my hotel room late at night after spending 12, 14 hours of service, digging holes or whatever it is, looking at that blank page is intimidating. And it's when I just start writing thoughts, whether they rhyme, whether they work, whether they're beautiful metaphors or not. Once I start writing, then my brain says, okay, I'm going to trust you with these ideas. And then they keep flowing. And then you go back and get that. So to sum up, for me, creativity is just not censoring yourself, letting it all come out.
That's awesome. This next one's a lot funner. Who is your favorite Muppet and why?
Oh, my goodness. I'm a huge Muppet fan. Did you know that coming into this?
No, I did not.
So much so. Let me, side note, I also narrate audiobooks. This is my booth right behind me.
Very nice.
And as soon as we're done, I'll get back in there and narrate an audiobook. Biggest honor of my life, I got to narrate Jim Henson's biography. And so I got to be every single Muppet.
Oh my gosh.
It's awesome. I think everybody, you got to love Kermit. He's amazing. Yeah. You love Piggy's attitude. Although I'm not such a big fan of her recent attitude. It's gone a little too intense for me. But I think I've always loved Fozzie. Always loved Fozzie. He's just waka, 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 beautiful bear.
Yeah, not afraid to put out what he's thinking, give it a shot.
He's so innocent and naive and sweet and kind-hearted. Oh, I love it. Awesome. And he looks like Kermit when he's not wearing a hat.
True.
That's something that my kids and I always say, where is that, or which one are you from The Great Muppet Caper? Kermit, because they're in front of the mirror and Fozzie has his hat off. And he says, which one are you? And he goes, I'm the one on the right. So we say that in our family all the time. I'm the one on the right.
I'm the one on the right. Okay, and this is kind of a strange question. I always get weirded out when I ask it to actors, because they could probably do it themselves. In the movie of your life, who would play you?
Oh, Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
It'd be Brad Pitt. Yeah. Because I like to eat when I'm talking and stuff, and Brad Pitt, his best acting is when he's eating.
Yeah. Ocean's 11, every scene.
Every scene, he's yeah.
Awesome. All right. If people want to catch your stuff personally or the BYU TV stuff, where can they catch it?
I'm active mostly on Instagram. So if you go to Kirby Heyborne on Instagram and follow me and send me messages, I usually reply. Facebook, not so much. It's a hard time, but it's also Kirby Heyborne. And then you should also go to the Making Good Instagram and Facebook pages. There's a lot of awesome new content. We do a lot of behind the scenes, and I do fun little shorts as well. In addition to the big service thing that I'm doing, I do funny little, kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm type. I really struggle. They're really fun little shorts that you can only get on those Instagram pages.
And you have those videos with the cute little animations of you doing different things as well.
It's so fun. It's such a great show. I've been acting for 20 years, and hands down, it's been the best thing I've ever been a part of.
That's great. Acting wise, do you have any projects coming up?
Just more Making Good right now, and then a lot of audiobooks.
Well, welcome back to Salt Lake. I learned that. I thought you were still in LA. So welcome back to Salt Lake. Maybe I'll run into you around town sometime.
I hope so, Dylan. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.